I've no editing, so there might be some mishaps or some crazy stuff happening on the screen, but we're going to deal with it. This is a legal cheating guide to see hidden cards from your opponent. Also, how to hide your cards. Hiding your cards is very difficult. This is something that is in Duel Links, but not the same as Master Duel, but it's very similar. It's about 75% similar to Duel Links, and that's why I am going to self-proclaim myself as an authoritative person on this subject of how this works. So the first thing you're going to want to do in game is ask yourself, why do you not have the toggle button yourself? Activation confirmation, turn it on in game, click switch. So what we want to know in this guide is, what are popular cards in the game? Well, we look on the website masterduelmeta.com. You can click on the search. You can sort by popularity, which it should be defaulted. Otherwise, I'll fire a dev. These are the most popular cards in the game. So what you really want to know is, when do they have one of these cards? So the most important part about knowing when your opponent has these cards is, first of all, know when are they activatable. When are they activatable? So if we look at a card like Dkayed, Dkayed is only activatable if your opponent has a card in their graveyard. So you have to know, if you were to have it, it's only activatable then. So what you want to know is that you cannot fake delays in Master Duel. In real life TCG physical cards, if you send a card to the graveyard, I could pretend to have a Dkayed and not have it. You cannot pretend. No pretending in Master Duel. So let's eliminate that thought. This will activate if there's a card in the graveyard to banish. This will be activatable after a card is added to the hand. This is activatable within the main phase if a monster is face up on the field that is a legal target for this to be used on. Max C is a big one. This is activatable whenever. Draw, standby, activate, set a card, attack, end the turn. This is activatable all the freaking time. So I'm going to teach you that's a big one. This is only activatable if a monster effect's activated. This is only activatable if a card effect's activated that does something with the deck, from adding to the hand, special summoning, or sending from the deck to the graveyard. Nibiru, this is huge. This is only activatable after they have summoned 5 cards on their field. 5 summons is activatable. Called by the Grave, a very important card. This is top 3. Called by the Grave, Max C, and Ash Blossom. Only activatable if there is a monster in the graveyard to banish. Droplet. Droplet has to be able to choose effect monsters your opponent controls. If there's no effect monster on the opposing side of Droplet, not activatable. Impermanence is going to be a big one. It's very similar to Max C, where it's almost always activatable. This is going, if you have no cards in the fields, then it's going to be activatable. So let's talk about, how do we make these reads? Twin Twister, there has to be a back row on the field to destroy. Could be even your own. So moving on, this all leads into the toggle guide. So the toggle guide right here. You cannot fake the delays. That's an important thing we want to state here. I want to make sure we have all the important cards on the side here. So what is the auto toggle? It is a real-life Konami assistant asking you when they think you want to activate your card. So that means it's bad, right? No, it's good, but you're also going to want to know how to turn it off and turn it on. So it's good and bad. Otherwise, you can't really replicate real life of creating these fake delays without it being too tedious and annoying while playing. So it's very good to, the majority of the time, play on auto. But because of that, you're going to take advantage of this. You know that with auto, it will mostly only ask you to use a card on a summon, on an activation, on an attack declare, or the end phase. These are the big 4. The big 4. Now, I'm going to throw in this advanced trick. This is so advanced. If I have auto, I'm auto, you're the opposing player, and I have something activatable like an impermanence. impermanence. If you chain link 2, this is where the toggle becomes stupid. If you chain link 2 special summon a monster, and chain link 1 is resolving an effect that's not resulting in a summon, it's not going to ask me to imperm. You're going to retain priority after your summon and your chain link 1 resolving. Let's say it's adding a card from the deck to your hand or changing attack and defense. So that is where you're going to need your toggle on. If their chain link 1 does not resolve in a summon, then it's not going to ask you to use cards like impermanence. It's crazy that it works that way. It's the same thing as Duel Links. So I know this from Duel Links. Now, there are some special cases where Konami tries to make the Konami assistant smarter, but it's still not smart. A special case would be a damage step card like Chalice. Chalice is a big one. The damage step card with toggle auto, it will ask you before the damage calc, not at the start of the damage step. If you don't understand that, don't worry. So this is off, auto, and on. Off will turn off everything. On will ask you at every possible moment on setting a card. It will ask you. At the end of the main phase, it will ask you. Now, some cards like the Nibiru are auto-programmed from the Konami Assistant to be smarter. This is a card that if your opponent has summoned 5 times, at the end of their main phase 1, it will ask you, would you like to Nibiru? It won't ask you to max C if you only have max C, so you do need to know that. That's very important. So here's a huge example. Let's blow this up. See, I'm gone right now. The opponent ended their turn, I have my toggle on auto. Because I have my toggle on auto, it's ridiculous to max C, right? But the Konami Assistant is stupid, right? Stupid Konami Assistant thinks it's just auto-programmed to ask me to use a quick effect on a summon, on an attack, on an activation, or on the opponent's end phase. It's hard programmed to work that way. And my field lighting up is signifying that I have that activation. So I'm revealing to my opponent that I have something activatable. This is what it's going to look like to them. And this is the main thing you want to look at when making reads. So understanding these cards are going to help you make these reads. If it is their end, they end their turn, you end your turn and the field lights up, quick quiz. What could it be? What could it be? You tell me on these cards right here. I'll help you out. So it is going to be a multitude of cards. It could be many cards. You want to pay attention on the end of your turn if the opponent's field lights up. So it does take some good, you got to pay attention with your eyes, because you have to pay attention to this, because their field's going to light up in their draw phase. So please pay attention to this when you end your turn. So at the end of your turn, if the field's lighting up, what does that mean? That means that they have an impermanence or a max C that they're holding on to. Holding on to a max C, that's quite amogus, right? That's sus. It could be a DD Crow if you have a card in your graveyard to banish. It can not be these quick effects that are not activated on the opponent's turn, obviously. It could not be Nibiru after you summon 5. This is only during the main phase. It could not be Effect Veiler. It can't be Ash Blossom. So you are seeing that what card it could be on the end of your turn. So my best advice for you, how do you take advantage of this knowledge? At the start of your turn, if you are a good player, you're going to want to summon or activate a card as fast as possible. You're speed running. You are speed running a summon or an activation before they turn their toggle off. So on the opposite end, if you're a good player and you don't want to accidentally reveal a card, you're going to want to turn your toggle off at the start of the duel as fast as you can. Boom, toggle off. So, but there's a problem with that. If you do that very quickly, you might miss your activation timing on a card that you wanted to use. If you quickly turn toggle off, they summon a trigger effect, and then you accidentally let it resolve without using your effect veiler. Oopsies, you got to be quick. Now, there are some tricks in game. There are some hold settings which could help with this. That's going to be another tutorial, more advanced. We're going to see if top players end up ditching the toggle for some other measures like key binding the toggle, which is with the hold thing. So just forget I said that though. So if you quickly summon a card as fast as possible, you quickly summon a card and their field lights up and then it's not lit anymore. It quickly lights up, then goes away. That's like an oops, I didn't mean to delay you. What does that mean? Well, if you normal summoned a monster and the delay happened, the thing turned on, they just revealed Max C. They just revealed potentially a Veiler. They just potentially revealed an Impermanence. So by quickly summoning, I do this in my own duels. If I summon quickly and their field doesn't light up, it's on the ladder, it's a 90% chance they don't have any of these. And you know what that means? I don't gotta worry. That's at the start of the duel, all the stress is gone. Woo, okay, I do my combo, but they could still have Ash Blossom. They could still have Imperm. So if you have a card like Pot of Desires, you wanna activate that so quickly. If you activate Desires, like that, boom, you gotta be, it's speed run, boom, Desires, and their field doesn't light up, woo, they don't have the Max C. They don't have the Ash Blossom. Then you really get to go crazy, but they could have Imperm. So we don't know about Imperm. You would check for this. That's a quick check. That's a quick check. And then you gotta still worry about the Imperm, okay? So I hope that this guide was helpful for you. I'm gonna put a little sneak peek, a little extra advanced play at the end of this guide. Ready? This is for the real G's if you want to learn something advanced. So here's an advanced trick to read a damage step card. All right. If you're still learning the toggle, you could maybe ignore this unless you want to aspire to learn something like this. Chalice has a double effect. It negates a monster, but it also boosts a monster by 400 attack. So sometimes you want to boost your own monster. But if you're going to boost your own monster, you need to make sure that it's worth it. It's not worth it if they could chain a card to Chalice. If they could chain a card to Chalice, this is going to boost a fusion by 1,000 attack. If I know they have Invoker to boost by 1,000 attack, I'm just going to let my monster die. I'm going to hold on to Chalice. But how do I make sure they don't have Invoker? And then I could get full use of my Chalice. Well, this is how. So let's say they have a fusion that already negated if you're a smarty pants. They're attacking into me. 2,500 attack and my 2,400. They attack Declare. This is another advanced thing. You could read delays. It's going to take more time for us to really pinpoint how long the delays are. And some people can be quicker to turn off their prompt. And if you're really quick to turn off your prompt, then there'll be no delay. If you toggle off on your attack Declare, that's probably going to be optimal to turn off your delays. But that'll be another day, another guide. Delays are a bit different. This is when you toggle on. So now we're going to be in the battle step. This is before the damage step. If they light on here, then that means they have their toggle on, and you are now playing against this kid. You know that. So they have something activatable, but you don't know if it's Invoker. You just know they have a quick effect activatable, and that's only going to show you if their toggle's on, all right? Moving on. We are now at the start of the damage step. If at the start of the damage step, their field lights on, then you know they have Invoker, but it could be hard to catch. And that would mean they have the toggle on. It will only light up their field if their toggle's on at the start of the damage step. Otherwise, the start of the damage step is for only the on bros. This is you. This is toggle on bro. If you have your own toggle on, the start of the damage step will be asking you to use Chalice. Now, there's another window to use Chalice. This is the first window. The last window is coming up. If you don't use it in the second window, you're done. You don't get the Chalice. So now with your toggle on, you're going to say to the game, I don't want to use Chalice. You're going to say no. If their field lights up, that means their toggle's on auto or on, which it will 90% be on auto. You just definitively revealed a damage step card like Invoker. You revealed it. That's it. How would they hide it? why would they hide a damage step card? They're gonna miss the timing on activating it, right? They're gonna miss their chance. It's so hard to hide this, but it could actually be a good idea. Actually, if I was this, I would do a good job in hiding it. But if they don't hide it, boom, you're good. You're good. So again, in Duel Links you can't hide it. In Master Duel you can if you're very good. It's going to be a top tier skill to master, to toggle off. So what I would do if I was the Macabre player, I would attack you at toggle off, and I would wait like this. This would be me. If you chaliced, I'd flip my toggle on as fast as I can to chain to your chalice. But most players are not going to be like that on the ladder. Let's be real. So anyway, they have the damage step card, then you know to not use your chalice. And if you, at the start of the damage step, you have the chalice asking you to activate, and then the damage calculation, before damage calculation, it's going to ask you to use chalice. If they did not light up, then you can use chalice. All right? If they did not light up, they did not light up from before the damage calculation, which is your last window to use chalice, okay? This is the window right here. Right here is where they would have to light up. At the start, it will ask you, you say no, and then if they light up, then you know to not use it. If they don't light up and then it asks you to use chalice a second time, then it's safe to use chalice. All right? So that's the guide. There's a lot more intricacies to it and a lot to learn. There is counterplay, and Duel Links, there's no counter to it. It will always light on. So they did change it a bit from Duel Links, but it's very similar. I just made the guide a bit longer. Thank you very much. We're streaming a subathon on twitch.tv/duellinks meta and on masterduelmeta.com. You could check out everything. It's great. Mate, thank you. Let's go.